This is the MiG-21, the most produced jet fighter in history, with over 11,000 built, and one of the longest-serving warbirds in the skies. Designed in the 1950s as a Mach 2 frontline fighter, the MiG-21 became instantly recognizable for its delta wings, circular nose intake, and blistering agility. It wasn't just a Soviet aircraft. It was an idea, speed and simplicity over size and complexity. In this film, we're diving into the MiG-21 F-13, the first major export model, the first armed with guided missiles, and the variant that rewrote the rules of Cold War dogfighting. The MiG-21 F-13 was a small, lightweight interceptor. At just 44 feet long and under 13,000 pounds empty, it was about half the size of its American rival, the F-4 Phantom II. The design was all about efficiency. Its slim fuselage, made from aluminum and magnesium alloys, housed fuel, cockpit, and landing gear up front, with the powerful Timansky engine sitting in the back. At the nose sat the MiG's most distinctive feature, a circular air intake with a movable cone that regulated airflow at different speeds. Below it, a pitot tube measured airspeed and angle of attack, feeding the flight systems. The MiG's short fuselage and swept delta wings made it incredibly agile. Pilots could roll quickly, pull high angles of attack, and change direction faster than most Western fighters. This was crucial for ambush tactics, where seconds could mean the difference between a kill or being killed. Each wing carried one hardpoint for missiles or bombs, plus internal fuel cells. To keep airflow stable, small fences were installed, simple but effective Soviet engineering. The MiG-21 F-13's fully moving stabilators and hydraulically boosted ailerons gave it razor-sharp handling. A special module adjusted stick sensitivity depending on speed and altitude. At low speeds, the controls were light and responsive. At high speeds, they stiffened, protecting the aircraft from overstress. 3 air brakes and even a drag chute helped tame landings. Despite its raw speed, the MiG was surprisingly controllable, making it a forgiving machine for trained pilots. At the heart of the F-13 sat the Timansky R-11 F-300 turbojet. Compact and lightweight, it produced around 8,600 pounds of thrust dry, and nearly 12,700 with the afterburner engaged. The afterburner injected raw fuel into the exhaust, igniting with the hot gases and producing a spectacular surge in thrust, and in fuel burn. It let the MiG hit Mach 2.05, accelerate quickly, and climb fast, giving pilots a real edge in hit-and-run attacks. But there was a catch: with only 652 gallons of fuel on board, the MiG-21's endurance was painfully short. Afterburner use could drain the tanks in under 20 minutes. External drop tanks helped, but this aircraft was never meant for long patrols. Its mission was simple: scramble, intercept, shoot, and return home. The MiG-21 F-13 carried a single NR-30 cannon with just 30 to 60 rounds. It was deadly at close range, but in reality, the Soviets intended it to be a missile fighter. Its main weapons were 2 K-13 Atoll heat-seeking missiles, reverse-engineered copies of the American AIM-9 Sidewinder. The Atoll wasn't perfect, its seeker was less sensitive than the US version, but it was reliable enough. With a range of under 5 miles, it forced MiG pilots to get in close, a natural fit for their ambush style. What the MiG lacked was radar. Instead, it used a simple rangefinder that fed data into the pilot's optical gunsight. Crude by Western standards, but effective for short, sudden engagements. The cockpit reflected Soviet philosophy: keep it functional, not fancy. Pilots sat in a cramped space with a forward-opening canopy, surrounded by instruments laid out in a sometimes awkward fashion. The ASP-5 gunsight projected targeting data onto a small glass panel, an early head-up display. The controls were mechanical, the switches everywhere, and muscle memory was essential. In emergencies, the canopy itself acted as part of the ejection system, forming a shield capsule around the pilot. It was clever, but like much of the MiG, it required skill and training to use safely. A MiG-21 launch was short and brutal. At around 200 miles per hour the jet lifted off, and within minutes it could reach over 30,000 feet. With the afterburner lit, it could climb past 50,000 feet in almost no time. The adjustable nose cone managed shockwaves as the aircraft punched through Mach 1 and beyond, ensuring the Tumansky engine kept breathing smoothly. For a pilot, it was a thrilling ride, raw acceleration with little margin for error. The MiG-21 F-13's combat debut came in Vietnam in 1966. At first, North Vietnamese pilots tried traditional dogfights, but the MiG's limited fuel and weapons made this costly. They quickly adapted, creating the now famous ambush tactic. Guided by ground radar, two MiGs would lure American Phantoms into pursuit. Then, a third MiG, trailing behind at lower altitude, would rocket upward, unseen, and strike from behind with missiles. The MiG's tiny size and slim profile made it almost invisible on American radar. By the time F-4 crews realized a MiG was behind them, it was often too late. One U.S. pilot recalled, "They were very fast, very nimble, and a very capable adversary. We were very aware of what the MiG-21 could do if you were not careful." These encounters forced the U.S. to rethink training and tactics, leading to the creation of the Navy's Top Gun School. In a way, the MiG-21 directly shaped modern air combat doctrine. Returning to base demanded precision. The MiG descended at 280 miles per hour, gear down, and flared just before touchdown. The pilot had almost no forward visibility with the nose raised, so he relied on peripheral vision. A drag chute deployed to shorten landing distance, then wheel brakes took over. For all its ferocity in the air, the MiG-21 was surprisingly tame on the ground. When it entered service, the MiG-21 was the cutting edge of Soviet aviation, a Mach 2 interceptor that could rival the best Western jets. Yes, it had flaws: short range, limited payload, primitive avionics. But it was cheap, easy to maintain, and brutally effective in the hands of skilled pilots. It gave smaller nations access to supersonic performance at a fraction of the cost of Western fighters. That's why it was exported to over 50 countries and flown in conflicts from the Middle East to South Asia to Africa. More than 60 years later, upgraded MiG-21s are still flying, a testament to the power of a simple, effective design. The MiG-21 F-13 proved that technology alone doesn't win wars. Tactics, training, and simplicity can tilt the balance just as much as raw power. If you'd like to see another radical design, check out our video on the Horten Ho 229, the futuristic Nazi jet that looked decades ahead of its time.